Hey guys, just setting up for a live. Been last week we had a bit of a shocker. I don't think it worked. Hey Caroline, how you going? Hey Joey, how you going, brother? Yeah, so today was a pretty busy day. Started the day pretty early at 4 a.m. Got up, got my university stuff done, which is good. Back into the university, been loving it. Then went for a big run, which is really good. Training for a marathon at the moment, so pumped out 8Ks. Hey Kylie, how you going, mate? Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, we're going to have a guest on tonight, which is pretty exciting. Just waiting for him to tune in. That should be good. See my mum, which is really good. Always love hanging out with the fam. I had his mediation, and he was, very happy and thankful with the outcome at the mediation. So, it's always really positive to hear that stuff. Said it was life changing. They felt really good to hear. I'm just going to try and see. Right, friends to watch. So much. Guest watchers. Hey Rachel, how you going? Yeah, it should just pop up in a minute, Luke, if you're watching it. Should be something on there that says ask to join. So yeah, well, hopefully Luke can jump on in a minute. That'll be good. This afternoon, when I finished up, I make a change in our lives, which is really cool. A couple of the guys done life. They done the PhDs doing, and then I had a university sort of first meet and greet tonight. So I just finished that and jumped straight into this. So yeah, that was really cool. Just waiting for Luke to jump on. Mate, if you're on, maybe try Instagram. If you maybe try log on to the About Time for Justice Instagram. So yeah, I'll just have to try and wait a minute and see how it goes. It's always the technical things that make it hard sometimes. Hopefully we can get him on in a minute. I can see someone here. Bring them on the video. Yep, I'm live. That's good. I might just call Luke really quickly. See. Oh, there he is. Hello. I think I got ya. Are you there, mate?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Fantastic.
How are you, mate?
Alright. Yeah, good. Sorry about that. I was trying to join on my iPad and it just wasn't working
No, you're
for
right.
some strange reason, but that's alright. We're here now.
Can everybody hear us okay? Can everyone, so I've got a couple here on Instagram, someone here on our Facebook, About Time for Justice. Can everyone hear Luke okay and myself? If you could just give us a thumbs up or just let us know. You been busy today, mate?
Yeah, I'm fucking busy most days at the moment with everything that I'm trying to juggle, so yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. A couple of years ago now?
Yeah, it'd be going back. Yeah, it was during the coronavirus times, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we gave a presentation about our experiences in the prison systems and sort of also how we grew up. And I could relate to a lot to his story in different ways. So, you know, it was really cool to hear his story. And we've been talking ever since. And he's down in Victoria. I think I was based in Tweed Heads then, but he was motivation from each other, in particular with our training and business stuff. So, yeah, I wanted to get him on and let him tell us what he's been up to. So, yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, thanks, Jacob. I suppose, what have I been up to in the last couple of years since I met you? A whole lot of talking still. I think that it's been a really long road. I think that for yourself, I think you've been making a lot of good headway. But with the concept that I've had with Fair Threads and now Fair Pathways, which is not for profit, that I'll be starting alongside it. It's been a really sort of a slow, piece by piece journey, and it's definitely not been straightforward either. A lot of getting yourself in the right position and having a lot of conversations with the right kinds of people, which is really difficult to do when you're dealing with government. But yeah, for people that don't know about me, I've come up with this idea, which is Fair Threads. Came up with it while I spent some time in prison. I got a sentence of the community on parole.
Yep.
So Fair Threads is an online store for the friends and family of inmates to be able to purchase approved apparel and some anonymity processes. It'll allow us to actually create a transitional employment pathway for people coming out of prison, so that it can help to secure them jobs in a transparent working environment, and also help to deliver mentoring and programs just to give people the best possible chance of successfully reintegrating back into society.
Yeah.
So, yeah, where I'm at the moment is I'm just trying to think of the threads and with the programs and stuff that I want to deliver. They're two different organisations. So one is what's called a social enterprise. So that's a business that, like any other business, that looks to turn a profit, but the profit is tied into purpose, and that's not just through like a traditional sort of business avenue where it's like, all right, let's say that it's like a Safeway or a Coles or something. They make a bunch of money and then they donate 1% of it to whatever cause. It's a enterprise or a business that has social good woven into the fabric of its daily operations as one issue that you're looking to solve. So with Fair Threads, that'll obviously be employ people that are coming out of prison, and then helping to support them stay out of prison, and helping to train service providers and like people like police force and corrections establishment to gain empathy and understanding of what's involved in helping people turn their lives around. So guys will help develop and deliver those programs. The first one is the head of their programs, and they're very keen to get a wriggle on with this concept. So it's interviewing people that have had good outcomes post-release,
Yep.
and then boiling it down and figuring out what principles each of those people have in common to be able to create a real and practical toolkit for other people to be able to apply into their own lives so that they can emulate those outcomes. I think that one of the biggest issues with any courses, if you want to get parole, if you want fucking anything, it doesn't matter what it is. You just have to tick boxes, and those boxes don't necessarily directly correlate with you having a good life or doing the right thing by your family or engage with it because you don't understand the value of that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you knew is about not about like necessarily adding anything super new or revolutionary to the mix. It's about helping people that are currently incarcerated understand how to better utilise the resources that are currently available, because I think that's a big point that's missed at the moment.
Yeah, honest. There's not many programs in the prison systems, is there?
No. I think that that's part of it. I think that it can only go so far when you don't have lived experience voices involved in the conversation. So it's like there's already, and with a lot of the work that you're doing in About Time for Justice, the percentage of people that are currently in prison that have experienced institutional abuse, or have already got reasons to not really have a basis of trust for the relationship that they've got with corrections or any other sort of government organisation. You're not really corrections or whoever else it is that's trying to steer you on whatever path. You're going to start talking and listening to the old heads that have been there and done it, and people that you and they can talk in the same language as you. There's just none of that in prison at the moment. I think that it's really important to look at it from corrections point of view too, because I know that a lot of people that are trying to help out, like doing social enterprise or doing not-for-profit, operating in this correction space, it's got to be understood that that they can't see it from our point of view, saying, hey, this is actually how I can add value to this situation. This is how I can actually help out achieving the common goal that you guys have got, which is meant to be increasing community safety and keeping people out of prison.
Yeah.
But I run myself into the ground with all, like, working at the moment, trying to launch a business and a not-for-profit, and running a couple of small family businesses all now with my wife, and I kind of was really busy trying to figure out ways to be able to tell other people how to live their lives and turn their lives around, but I wasn't actually applying a lot of that stuff into my own life. And as a result, I kind of hit a bit of a factory reset so that I could really start to get a grip of myself again, and then start to kick goals in this year to come.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to sort of get caught up in not getting that self-loving. And I know sometimes it happens to me as well. And when I don't get my training in or practice sort of what I preach, it creeps up on you so quickly.
I think that that was one of my, well, it always has been. It's been one of the major coping mechanisms for me is like scientific evidence to back it up, that it's got to be, for me at least, as good as any like antidepressants and stuff that you can be getting on. If people are so quick to just go from I'm feeling like absolute shit, maybe there's a pill that I can pop, but they haven't even tried eating healthily or exercising on a regular basis. really fucking worrying.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is just to try and get up and try and live a bit better, uh, of a healthier lifestyle, man. It's changed my life a lot.
Mm. Yeah, fucking oath. How about you? How's things kicking along with you? Nothing about me.
Yeah, no, no, things are going good my way. I was just saying before you jumped in this morning, sort of started off pretty early. I have taken the last couple of semesters off because I was in the Northern Territory and I switched universities, and then I had to have last semester off for some family reasons. But yeah, back into it. We had a lecture tonight, or just sort of, it was more of a meet and greet, which is really good. But yeah, just for that education for me, like I battle with it every single day. Every single day it's very hard. I've also got a pretty cool bunch of friends that have got lived experience, like people who have been to prison. There's about 5 or 6 of us that have all either started studying in prison, or have continued, or not continued, when they got out, just sort of pulled their heads in and started studying. Two of them is studying law, another one's doing psychology. Another 2 of the fellas, they done life sentences. They done a couple of bachelors while they were in custody. So meeting up with them guys and talking about the positive stuff and transitioning from that lifestyle, it's not easy. So when you have people around who are sort of in the same boat, it makes it a lot easier. We've been trying to get some things going in the prison systems ourselves, lived experience groups and things like that, and it's very hard. Even with my business about Time for Justice, when we're trying to get into the prison systems, it's not next to whoever you speak to. It makes it very hard. But yeah, sort of on that, mate, just working hard within the business. We had lots of meetings today, just talking about things, putting processes in place. We're helping guys out all over Australia, and most of the work is in the prison system. So it's a good day. Got a run in this morning, which was great. Just training for a marathon. But yeah, bro, I know you wanted to sort of see what I'm doing, but I think, a lot of the guys who follow us would be very interested, in your sort of backstory of, where you grew up and you went to prison. So yeah, if you don't mind sharing that.
No, absolutely, yeah. So I grew up in back down in Geelong. I still live in Geelong now. 31 years old at the moment. So yeah, been here my whole life. The only time that I've spent any time away was when I was in prison. So I used to joke around a bit. So I spent most of my time actually in prison down in Geelong. So there's a lot of people would have heard of Barwon. I wasn't in Barwon. I was next door at the medium class O, which was Marganite. So I was like, I'm born in Geelong. I did my crime in Geelong. Now I'm doing my jail in Geelong. But then I ended up in minimum security. So I did maximum and medium down Melbourne and Geelong, and then moved up to the northeast of Victoria as I got ready to get my parole. But how I wound up in trouble. I grew up. It's a very, very typical story for a lot of people that wound up in prison. I have come from a family that we lived in a housing commission home when we were younger. There's a history of mental health issues in my family, and when I say that, it's definitely trauma based. Like I explored a lot of it while I was in prison. There was this fantastic course that I did. It was one of the drug and alcohol courses, and they actually got you to draw a family tree, and because a lot of people got issues with their parents that are in prison, and they gave us this exercise where you went back and you actually had to look at your parents and go, all right, here's the issue with my relationship with them. Why could they be that way? Like, what's happened to them to potentially make them that way?
Yeah. And
it'd actually go back to their parents.
Yeah.
My grandparents, and then I'd have a look at them and, okay, well, what's maybe happened to them to make them that way? Yeah. And then it goes back another generation. Actually, you trace it all the way back to World War II. For my family, where things on this on my mum's side and my dad's side that are, you know, I've had grandfathers on both sides go away to war, both of them prisoners of war for a number of years, for like a fair chunk of the war, and then when they come home, there's still a lot to be done in that space. But
definitely,
instead of you know, having counselling and things like that, which wasn't available, they hit the bottle, and then that got passed on to son after son after son, instead of actually having, you know, necessarily proper emotional intelligence and understanding the way that your actions can impact and help to form the adult that your children are going to become. They, you know, they're doing what they think is best, but what they think is best isn't necessarily always best for the kid, and then they knew how at the time. But I've had a on again, off again relationship with my dad up until recent times.
Yeah.
Lived predominantly with my mum, and sorry, just getting a bloody phone call. Lived predominantly with my mum. It's about I was 16 or 17. My mum's partner at the time sexually assaulted my sister to another, and mum ended up moving away with my sister, and I wound up living with a friend, and then through my sister's bravery of telling that story, I ended up the friend that I was living with actually came forward and told me that they had suffered some abuse at a young age, and then I ended up supporting that friend through court for the next couple of years, which was that 3 years or so I wasn't able to hold down a job. I wasn't able to think about who I was and what I wanted to be, and I already had a bunch of stuff going in my head just from my upbringing. I just lacked the skills and the tools. I think that I lacked, this is a major thing that's becoming more and more apparent to me as time goes on. I'm realising that on both sides of my family, and this is a fucked thing about our Western culture, right? I lived in Geelong. My mum lived in Geelong. Her brother lives in Melbourne. Her sister lives in Queensland. My dad's one brother lives in Melbourne. The other one lives in fucking Adelaide. Another one, then my grandfather lives in fucking... Point being, everyone's spread out. Absolutely no support, no one to turn to at all. Back to it when I'm talking about my time in prison. But I ended up homeless for a bit there. Because of my earlier life, I'd learned to become quite resourceful. I've always been really good at communicating with people, and I've always been good at holding conversation and everything. And I've also been very driven, I think, because I didn't really have a lot growing up. So all those things combined, I was going out on the town all the time, and I was really not in a very good mental state. And being homeless, I've come across the opportunity to start getting into selling drugs, and because of my previous experiences, it sort of culminated in I was really fucking good at it, and one thing led to another. Over a few years, ended up getting involved with some heavier and heavier characters, and then came under an investigation for 6 months, which ultimately led to me going to prison for 3 years. So I was a 4.5 year sentence, of which I spent 3 in prison myself, and I engaged in counselling. Like, by the time that I actually landed myself in prison, I'd become, I'd describe myself as a bit of a fucking monster. Like, I still even, like, and a lot of people couldn't imagine it now, and some people that know me would probably laugh about it. but I know that there's still people that would be shocked if they actually read up on me and saw what I'm doing now, because I was a real fucking piece of shit, if I'm totally honest with you. In the sense that I didn't, like I say, I can have a laugh about it, but I didn't really have I didn't have a whole lot of feelings, because I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't have feelings about things. When you're operating in that world, you can't really trust people. Half the time you can't even fucking trust yourself to do the right thing, because your morals are just so bent and twisted, and a lot of it's ego driven, or you're trying to look for some kind of sense of belonging. And some of the shit that I did, I'll never talk about my offending, really. I never go into particulars because I'm not proud of it.
Yeah.
But I ended up, once I got to prison, I was like, this is not who I want to be. I actually ended up reconnecting with my family once I got arrested, and it was in the papers.
Yeah.
They connected with me, and that was a big part of why I ended up going, you know what, I didn't give a fuck when I got told that I was charged with trafficking a large commercial quantity of MDMA and cocaine. And it's that large commercial and murder are the only two charges in Victoria where you can't get bail. So that gives you an idea of how serious it was.
Yeah.
And I just had no response, because I just didn't fucking care about my life anymore. I really didn't give a fuck. And then once I got the support of my family and everything, it kind of pulled back the curtain and made me go, fucking hang on a second, what kind of a person am I to not care about that? I should be shitting myself. I should be fucking beside myself. After that, I ended up doing a plea bargain. So I got the charge downgraded from large commercial to commercial, which meant, so it's no longer a maximum term of imprisonment of life. Instead, it was a maximum of 15 years. And that was a big jump, but I was a youth offender, so my lawyer had said, they'd indicated to me that I'd get between 12 and 18 months with a long CCO. But because my two co-offenders were bikies, and they were caught with lesser amounts, one of them got, even though I was a youth offender, whatever, so I ended up getting whacked with the 4.5 years with the 3 at the bottom, which I'm really fucking glad about, because if I had got less, potentially could have been a risk. I'm going to be able to do it smarter and better. I actually went through, I became a peer listener.
What does that look like?
It's so a peer listener of inmates so because I had the amount of time, majority of people, I think it's like 90-something% of people that go to prison have sentences of under 1 year. So it's a small percentage of the prison population that have a sentence of, like you say, a life term is a rare as fuck. You think of all the faces that you would have seen.
Yeah.
Thousands of blokes where it's just a revolving door, But so it's a longer term prisoners, and you've got to be respected within the community, and so you're not voted in as such. You apply for it, but then the screws have a good feel on what the politics are like in the yard, and so it's a you got to have the respect of everybody, because then people are going to be coming to you with things like if they're having trouble with other inmates, for them to try smooth things over. If it goes right from that stuff right through to helping them to fill out forms and give them advice on where they should head with their sentence.
Yeah.
For as well, because I knew that when I was going for parole, that having that pretty much on my resume, it's like gold. It's fantastic. It shows that you're doing the right things. I spent time doing that. I was probably a peer listener for about a year at Margate before I moved on to Beechworth.
Yep.
And then that's where I started getting my my resi visits with my missus. So, you know, that's the ones where initially it's like 4 hours and there's like a private, you know, it starts out with 4 hours, then 6 hours, and then an 8 hour visit. And then after that block, then you go to 24-hour visits. And that's once every 8. I got to play on the cricket program up there. Got on the community gang, so you go out and you like mow the local footy ovals and the churches and all that kind of stuff. Do a lot of yard maintenance for community organisations. I went to volunteer at the Salvation Army and really sort of started to see how in preparing me for life after prison, being at a minimum security prison and getting involved in those community programs as well.
Yeah.
But I came up with the idea of Fair Threads when I was still at Margate, and I was on a phone call with my missus, and she was, you know, the property stuff getting dropped in so fucking inconsistent. Depends what screw's working on the desk at the time, whether they like you or not, or if you're someone that's got good standing, you can have influence over the screws, and you can get some shit through. And if you're just some chump that knows nobody, then you're just gonna get shit on all the time. So there was frustrations with that. One day we got unlucky, and there was a screw that didn't like me that was working on the front desk, and then knew that she was my missus, and then she tried to just drop some basic shit in. It wasn't even against any of the rules, and just no, can't drop this, drop that, and it was just really frustrating. But then she was like, oh, what if there was an online store to be able to do this? It'd be so much simpler. That's stupid, why they don't do that? And then just a little light globe went off in my head, and I was like, fuck, I'm actually going to do that. That'll be great. And I was going around surveying people. You can imagine what that's like, right? I'm like going around, you guys get stuff dropped off. How much do you get dropped off? Like, I'm fully obsessed with it. And I could hear people, every lodge that I walked out of, I went from one to the next to the next to the next, and every single one, they're laughing at me. I can hear them fucking laughing at me, because they're like, how's this cunt? He's going to have a fucking non-association clause because of his coes when he's on parole.
Yeah.
He's a convicted commercial fucking drug trafficker, and he thinks that he's going to convince corrections to let him set up an online store to send stuff back into prison. Are you fucking kidding? That's fair. That's fair. Like, that makes sense. That makes complete sense when you say that. Like, if anyone else had that idea, I'd tell them that they're a fucking goose as well, and I'd probably laugh at it. But I came up with it, so I was like, fuck you guys. I'm doing it. I actually came up. My best mate helped me to write up the business case. Sent it through to an organisation called VACRO. It was about 2 months before I was set to get out of prison on parole, and they said, oh, this is a fantastic idea, we'll line up a meeting. And it was the acting CEO at the time and the secretary, and I walked out of prison, and it was like 6 or 8 weeks later, I was in a meeting with the CEO, and I explained the whole concept to them, and they were like, I'd love to have a conversation with you guys to give back and hopefully support what you're all doing. And they were like, oh, that sounds really good too, because they're a not-for-profit and they help inmates reintegrating back into society. And
is that what VACRO is? Just so people don't know, maybe that aren't from down that way. What does VACRO do, mate?
Yeah, VACRO it's a not-for-profit that's been around for, I think, into society. So they've been doing a lot of really good work for a really long time.
Yeah, wow.
And they're like all not-for-profits, they're not as resourced as what they could ideally be. So yeah, they're an organisation that I definitely intend on going back to and helping out where I can.
Yep.
And I said, well, could you get me an introduction into the bigwigs of Corrections Victoria, and then they said,
Yeah.
we could definitely do that. And then that's when they asked me right at the end, after they'd made me all the promises, they said, so how'd you come up with this idea? This idea is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I actually got out of prison 8 weeks ago, and I could see it in their eyes. I went, oh, fuck. Like, we've just promised to introduce this bloke who's just got out on parole to this person and that person within corrections. But that was probably the most critical meeting that I had early on in the piece, because I was introduced to a fellow by the name of Andrew Reaper, and then they have just been extremely supportive of the whole concept all along. So I started, that was prior to COVID. COVID really sort of seized things up. But I've been doing a whole lot of networking.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, networking has been key. And then I ended up getting cast in a documentary on positive psychology, because when I came home, I think that I was really excited. I hit the ground running, and I achieved a lot in that first went away by what I was doing and how quickly I was moving.
Yeah.
But it was actually, like, when you look at it, it was no different to the way that I've always been and the way that I was with drug dealing as well. And I was struggling a lot with loneliness, because part of getting out of prison, successfully reintegrating into society, is not talking to the people that you were talking to before, right? Because it's more than likely that they're going to be doing the wrong things. And if you're wanting to learn how to, say, you want to learn how to fly a helicopter, you go talk to a fucking helicopter pilot. You don't go talk to Joe Blogs from down the road that just sits there and watches the V8 supercars and videos of fucking helicopters. You go ask a professional. You got to. So, like, I was looking around, searching out people that were the type of people that I wanted to become like. But, you know, a lot of those people, they don't understand the life that I've lived and where I'm coming from. So I put myself out there, and then I actually ended up sort of withdrawing and then just concentrating on Fair Threads and starting a business and everything. And it was really fucking tough. But that's how I got cast in this doco. And it helped to give me a lot of the mental tools and the vocabulary, which was, I think that was pretty pivotal. But then through that, I met the production crew that filmed the doco. I talked to them about a couple of after I'd had my experience on the documentary, and I had the idea for Fair Threads and realising the value of that, but realising that getting a job, it's good, but it's not the be all and end all. If you just get a job when you get out of prison, that's not enough. There's things like I could have a job and it could be paying $100,000 a year. That's sweet, but if I've still got problems with my ex-missus and she won't let me see my kid, and every time that I see my brother that fucking lagged me to the cops, I just want to bash him, and all this nonsense that you're not being given the tools to be able to cope with, like, that stuff doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that people need to be able to know how to deal with. So that's where I really went, all right, I need to sink my teeth into this so that other people can start to do it for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I will say as well, actually, you know what, with the, and it's not something that, I think that my experience with the documentary overall was definitely a positive, and I learned a lot from it, and I took a lot of it away. But I think that it actually ended up taking away my competitive edge for a little bit. You know, I went soft too far. I needed to soften up a bit. I needed to look after myself a bit more. I needed to open up to people a bit more. But then I went too far in that direction, and then was, you know, trying to help other people to see the same sort of methods that I'd been employing, all this stuff, and then it started to seep in that I was starting to get frustrated with other people, blaming external, yeah, that's how I sort of came to be in that position. Just that New Year's where I was like, nah, enough's enough. I've had enough. I did this like ritualistic sacrifice of my weak marshmallow self by hopping into a cold shower for like 5 minutes, and then I stepped out of the shower. I'm like, right, that's it. This is a line in the sand moment.
Yeah.
Fat weak Luke is dead. I'm back to the Luke that stepped out of prison, but even more improved because now he knows what he needs to do with his life.
Yeah.
And I've made more headway with everything that I've been doing than at any other point since my release. And while I've got a lot more stresses and there's a lot more complexity to my life, I've definitely got a lot more of my life and where it's headed. And I'm feeling really confident with all of it, and I'm able to now start to see the light at the end of the tunnel with fair threads and fair pathways, and I'm really excited for what's to come in the near future.
Yeah. No, you're doing amazing things, fella.
Thank you very much. I think that one of the biggest things in all of it is that I'm constantly worried about how my children will perceive me. And when my son grows up, I can't afford mentally to be the type of person. I don't want to be a bloke where they look at me and there's going to be things obviously where they're going to go, all right, I've learned from his mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. Absolutely. But I want to be a great support and a hero to my children. I don't want to be one of these do as I say, not as I do sort of people, and I want to be an inspiration to them. I don't want to just constantly be just do this because I said so. I'm going to find out a whole lot more of it, and make a whole lot of mistakes as I go. But I think that I'm now finally on track and very confident in who I am at the moment on all fronts, in business, as a person within community, but then most importantly, and this is the stuff that I haven't nailed, I think, up until really recently, being father and family man as well, like being there for my extended family too, because it's really easy to lose sight of what's important when you're doing stuff like this, and it's like, I want to help everybody else. I want to help a woman, so I can give some general advice, and I'm sure that I'll have a lot of good things that they can learn off of me. But obviously, I know the intricacies of being a man leaving prison, and that's what you need to do. But if you're not looking after yourself, the wheels are going to fall off, and then people will start to question what you've got to say as well. All right, so he's given me all of this advice, and he said that this is going to work, and that's good. You should do this, you should do that, but have a look at him, and then you're going to devalue everything that you've had to say in the past. So it's been a really good, reset for me in the last 10 weeks, and it was. I have to admit, it was a pretty emotional I previously had, and that mental strength, and that's a really important part, which this is a whole other conversation. But I'm definitely in the like YouTube and Instagram and whatever space. I think that a lot of the value in my story and what I'm doing, business stuff is cool, and prison stuff is cool, like piques a lot of interest, but the greatest value out of my story is probably about navigating, figuring out how to sort of dig deep into all the deep dark stuff. Is still really not the message isn't being nailed on it for young men. We talk about being vulnerable, and that just sounds like, crying in front of people and being a bitch, but that's not what it's about. There's a time and a place for it, but I finally feel like I'm in a position to be able to start to give advice on all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's important, bro. Sounds like you've done a
So
lot
let me
of
know
work
if
in
you want
yourself.
Let me know if you want any advice, mate. I know a few places where you could polish up.
Oh, don't start, bro. Yeah, nah, no, that's good, man. Yeah, it's I've learned a few more things about you, like even compared to that first story that you told. I didn't know that sort of backdrop with your family, in the war and stuff. It's pretty interesting. Being to prison and then coming out with them same traumas and sort of not healing from it, just being passed down, sort of intergenerational.
Yeah, and I think that it's one of the major things that parents need to be aware of is you might think that you're doing better than your parents, but you might be doing equally as bad in a different way. So if there's anyone watching this that wants to know what they can take away from this, there might be some cool parts to what I've said, but I think that if you're a parent, be open to some constructive criticism, because you might be making some mistakes that you're not aware of, and that's how you're just going to be. It's going to be a big part of success as a parent in building.
Yeah, mate. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. I just sort of noted down. I didn't know that you couldn't get bail down there for that charge. Wow. So what does that look like? No magistrate bail or no Supreme Court or what?
Yeah. So what that looked like for me was large commercial and murder is just a flat out, like, you have to have exceptional circumstances. So that'd be something like, you might require urgent medical care, or if you had cancer or something like that, you're going to have to regularly go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Or if you've got a significant other that is solely dependent on your care, then on those grounds you might be able to get bail. But I didn't end up going down for that charge. Just because I had that charge, I wasn't eligible for bail in any way, shape or form. So one day I was doing what I was doing, and then the next day I just woke up. It was the day before my birthday, actually, and they could have given me that last weekend, but anyway. Then the next day I just wake up with a bunch of coppers at the foot of my bed, and then I got marched away, and then the next time that I was out and about was the end of my sentence. Yeah, it was just, that's another thing, holding less time in prison. But they were out on bail for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's worse. That's worse than being in prison, because you're stressing about the outcome all that time. It's like, all right, I'm here, and I was worrying about what's going to happen with this and what's going to happen with that. And then after a bit, you just settle in and then get sentenced, and then it's all comes off your time at the end anyway. So I definitely wouldn't have done it any different. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what did that look like for you? So you were just in bed, woke up, pinched, straight to watch house.
Yeah. I was actually being a fucking smug little prick. So I had a housemate, and there was a knock on the front door. I was fast asleep, and knock on the front door, and they didn't do the old fucking Victoria Police. They didn't do that one. It was just a polite knock on the door, and then he let him in, and then so I woke up with him at the foot of my bed.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, Luke Anderson. I'm like, yeah. And then I was thinking, you know, they went through the house, there's nothing in the house and whatever, so I was acting all like, yeah, no worries, that I'd be back shortly. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be back in a bit, you know, because I've got nothing. And then one of the police officers was like, oh, maybe not, mate, like this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, no dramas. And then once I got back to the station, then they hit me with the... and for anyone that's watching, you never, ever, doesn't matter what they say or trying to do, you always just make a no comment statement, because all you can do is say things that are going to incriminate you. You're never going to say anything that's going to get you out of trouble. So no comment. And then quick maths in my head, I went, okay, so this could get these other people in trouble. So they said, so now we're going to re-ask you this question. What happened with all of the money? But previously I had said no comment. I then said, well, I pissed it up against the wall. I used it all partying, just to try get other people, because that thing, I thought that if I admitted to that it'd only be me that gets in trouble for, which that actually worked. I was the only one that got in trouble for there was some cash that was involved in it. But yeah, I kind of went into damage control in that situation. But then you obviously bit me in the ass, because I did the longest time. But then people would have you believe that don't make no comment statements, and I'm sure that you're well aware of that, Jacob. I think it's a lot more common that people cooperate with police to keep themselves out of trouble. But I did the right thing. I did the time for it, yeah. But yeah, I didn't have to stress about not being able to go back to my hometown and have to stress about, you know, not being able to see my family and stuff anymore, because I have to go into fucking witness protection and all that shit. So, because I just was not scared, but I wouldn't do it any different either. I think that it's something I'd like to address, actually, is that my lens on crime now is completely different, and I think that I've demonstrated that with everything that I've discussed and the way that I'm living my life now, and the businesses and the not-for-profit that I'm creating and what have you. But I think that you shouldn't just go around, like, even though you're just somebody that's now stopped doing crime or this, you shouldn't just go around shitting on it and telling people that they should do things a different... you're not a criminal anymore, so then you should do this, and that. Well, there's still people that are going through it, and if you are living that type of life and it is your career, then stick to the fucking rules. So
yeah, great advice. You know, a lot of people do think about themselves in them situations. You know, so yeah, you would have had to have worried about where you could have gone when you got out. You also would have had to have worried about walking the jail yard. You know, it's probably a bit scarier place to be, you know, a dog in there than on the outside, mate. You know, as you would know, what happens to people in jail who write statements? They'll generally get bashed, maybe even taken a bit further than that. Maybe in the prison systems down there, pretty rough down there, I've heard.
Yeah, and it's something that I witnessed. I never really speak about that. You got a lot of dickheads out there that just want to make a name for themselves and come out and get on a podcast and, oh yeah, I fucking saw a stabbing every second day and I killed 10 blokes and I fucking saw this cunt get bashed and this person was, you get all these drugs all the time and just they speak a whole bunch of shit. Or let's say even, I will say that, yeah, fucking oath, you see some really fucking horrible, violent shit that happens to people when they there's not even necessarily proof that they've flagged on someone or that this person's a police informant or whatever. It's just, people have a suspicion of it, and that's enough for somebody to be given a life-altering fucking brain injury or get stabbed. There was one Lebanese fella that I was at Margate with, and he cars or something like that, and he was doing like 18 months or 2 years, and then he ended up with the fucking brick because which is 10 years. People call 10 years a brick in prison for people that don't know what that means. He ended up with 10 years because he went and stabbed someone over some shit about this. He was mates with this person, and that person said that this other bloke that was coming into the yard was an informant and whatever, and then he filled him full of holes, and then he ended up having a falling out with the bloke that he stabbed the other bloke for in the end anyway. It's just a whole lot of sad, fucked up shit like that happening all the time, which if you want to do yourself any favours, make no comment statements, cop it on the chin, and keep your head low, make sure that you're respected, and it'll make your life a hell of a lot easier, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely some great advice. Some I did learn a lot of good things in prison, and I think one of the most valuable things I learned in prison was being able to read a person, because you have somebody else in the next block over and stole the story and come over. It's a really good way to read people. That's probably one of the most valuable skills that I learned in prison. I'll still use it to this day. Someone comes up to me and tells me something, I'm just like, it's a really good skill I picked up
in prison. But I would say it can be a little bit detrimental as well, because you know that whole thing where you're living in a yard, and this is one of the old heads that taught me this very early on in the piece when I first arrived. But if you've got any kind of issue, you go and address it straight away, because if you don't, things get left up, and that's how you end up getting filled full of holes, or you're having to bail, and then you end up in the fucking boneyard with all the sex offenders, or it can turn into who knows what. Or you could end up getting more time if you win the fight. And you need to get good at reading people, and then if somebody has a problem with you, you go and talk to them about it. Ideally, you don't want to have it to result in violence. So now, what's happened is you come into the real world. There's a lot of times when you just look. Someone might be pissed off with you, or they might have their feelings hurt or whatever, and it might have something to do with something that I said or did. And then now it actually like, all right, well, I need to go and talk to that person and figure out what the fuck I've done, or what the fuck their problem is, and I need to sort it out right now. Where in reality, sometimes you just let it go and it's all sweet. But in my head, I'm still like, this could fucking end up in a fight, because I just got conditioned over those years to be that way. And it is a good thing to be able to read people, definitely. But I probably need to tone it back on the confrontation front.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you finished your parole now, eh?
Yeah, I finished it. It was about 2 years ago. So not too a little while ago, but not too long ago. So I'm still kind of fresh, but I'd say that I'm proven that I'm definitely not going to get myself back into trouble.
Where do you see Fair Threads going, like in the next sort of 6 to 12 months?
So it'll start out with a pilot program where we'll just approve the concept. So I know you only asked over the next 6 to 12 months, but I'll get that started. And once the concept is proven, then scale up to a statewide operation. And then after that, then I'll take it from state to state. Alongside it, once the pilot program kicks off, then I will be looking to launch the Streetwear brand.
Yep.
So if there's anybody out there that's potentially listening and interested in getting involved in helping me launch the Streetwear brand, because my time is completely gone. I'm already fucking in the negatives for time. So a big push on social media myself in that regard, because I think that there's such a fantastic story behind it, and there's a really good way for the public to be able to support the concept by purchasing, ethically sourced clothing and streetwear that's designed by people that have got lived experience. I think that will do pretty well.
Yeah, I really like the concept of when guys getting out of prison, you're giving them a start. When I say a start, a job. So with your concept, is it jail labour, or is it for outside of prison, then you make it and then send it in, or?
So it's all outside of prison.
Okay.
It's all completely outside of prison, because the programs that I'm looking to develop and deliver will be for people while they're in prison.
Okay.
And then I would hope that from an advocacy standpoint, in Victoria, they've just built a new prison, which is a step in the right direction, in the sense that there's industries within the prison that inmates can gain real world practical skills that they can then take out and use in the workforce. So I'd be looking through fair pathways to engage with people prior to release.
Yep.
But I wouldn't at any point be looking to have any of the work for the social enterprise be done by people within prison, because that is a moral landmine. I'd be shooting myself in the foot there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, well, yeah. If blokes are getting out of prison and you're giving them a start, that's amazing.
Another point I'll add. I think that the beauty of it is that it takes away that one level of anxiety for people that are coming home. There's already so much to worry about. But to parent relationship with your employer, when you're just trying to find your feet in the community, I think that that'll take a lot of the anxiety away from people trying to reintegrate back into society, and that's really good. But not everybody's going to be able to work for Fair Threads. I can only create so many jobs. Let's say that it goes absolutely nuts and I create 100 jobs. There's thousands of people leaving prison every year. So the reality is that the vast majority of people in prison that are leaving prison, I can help them through programs, but I can't help, and that's going to be in another 6 to 12 months before that happens. So if anyone's listening that knows somebody that's currently in prison, is going to be having to deal with the situation of leaving prison right now, the best possible thing, and this is something that I did because I didn't go straight into prison straight into business after I left prison. I had to go to people to go again. And the tactic that I employed was, rather than give myself the stress and bank on somebody not finding out that the police check is going to come back no good, I came in and spoke with, first I tried former employers, but any potential lead that I had, I made sure that I was completely clear that I have just spent time in prison, and I assured them that I've turned my life around, and I'm committed to doing the right thing. And if you can show some faith in me, you'll get a fantastic employee.
Yeah.
Didn't work every time, but it did work one time, and that one time was all that I needed to get a start. And then from there.
Yeah, I wish I'd done that when I got out of prison. Unfortunately, it took me many years to pull my head in, but working, man, it changes your life. You sort of get up in the morning, you have a bit of purpose, you have that drive to get up, and just go to work every day and try and break that cycle and stop hanging around them people that were committing crimes or
standing over people or stealing hotties or, just doing whatever it is, work, you're going to be in a lot better position to, break that cycle. Start doing positive things.
Yeah, and that was a big part of my success was I had a bucket list, right, of a whole bunch of things where I was like, I know I'm going to have to distract myself. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to get back into footy. I'm going to have to get back into I played soccer, but then I was like, I want to go out and I want to meet a bunch of the types of people that I haven't been hanging out with, because the people that I have been hanging out with, obviously, it's not working out for me. So let's try a whole bunch of different and new people. And so I've actually done a whole bunch of activity fun, and I'll give a bit of a shout out now to a few of the people that I've been going and doing this. It's called Swordcraft. So it's like it's LARPing, which stands for live action role playing, where people dress up in the suits of armor and they wear a sword and shield and stuff. It was on my bucket list that I wrote down when I was in prison, that I was going to give it a go. And I went down there and I was like, I felt like I stuck out, like. But just that I've the cohort that I've ever come across, they're a fantastic group, and I think that it's really important that people that are going through this give that a crack as well. Like, not necessarily LARPing, but I mean, like, because it might not trying different things and then trying to meet new people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good, positive people out there in the world, and people really fucking love when you're trying to do the right thing. They love the idea of being able to contribute, even in the smallest possible way, to a good story. And if you get yourself out there and just say, look, that I'd give fucking salsa dancing a go, you'll be amazed with the types of people that you'll meet.
Yeah, for sure. I love getting out and trying new things, getting uncomfortable and meeting new people. I try and do it all the time. Like, I love talking to people. I love, trying different things, and that's so important. Especially like when you break that cycle, because it can become quite lonely. Like, if you think about all the friends you got to cut off, all the people, that were there before. Like, for me, I was 90% of my friend circle was crims, bikies, bad people. And when I cut all them off, I was in a really bad way. I was taking a lot of drugs. When I just sort of left that lifestyle behind, I was scared. I was a bit scared because I left that old lifestyle behind. I've done some violent things to people and hurt people. Like, just because I left that life behind, I thought, I know these blokes haven't. So, it was a hard transition. I started listening to podcasts, YouTube. Even if you don't really, know anyone and you're a bit intimidated to go out and meet people, a good way to, try and start new things is just listening to positive people. Jump on YouTube. It worked for me, man. But now I've got that confidence, and it's really fun going out and meeting people and doing different things.
What it has for you, and now people think that you're stuck up because you got too much confidence. You're just arrogant.
Yeah.
I'm just joking, mate. I think you're a very humble man.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Nah. Yeah, I get it. I was just going to say, bro, it's starting to get pretty late. I was just going to see if anyone has got any questions or anything like that. I've only got 10% of my battery on my phone. I should just plug it in. But yeah, if anyone has any questions for Luke, or I know in the comments, a couple of people have been dropping in Luke's Insta. He's got.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. Is probably the best one to find me on. So it's just luke.adam.anderson. On Instagram, I'll post a few Instagram reels on that, and I'm going to start to be a lot more active. And then obviously on Facebook, and then on LinkedIn, where I'm going to be most active. And then I'll be able to keep people informed. I'll be going into YouTube and all that kind of stuff in the coming months. So yeah, definitely give us a follow on Instagram.
Yeah, I've been tagging him on pretty much all these posts leading up to this. So you should be able to jump on our Instagram, or jump on Facebook. We are friends on LinkedIn, but I don't know if I tagged you on that one. But yeah, at a minimum, and yeah, we sort of keep each other updated with what we're doing. Yeah, so it's always exciting to hear what he's doing and where he's come from, and basically grew up with nothing. Went to jail and he started all these amazing companies. He's got a solid missus who they've had a kid. He's helping out his family. He's doing just amazing stuff, and I get a lot of motivation from you, bro. Like, yeah, I wish you lived a bit closer. We spent a bit more time together. Yeah.
I will say that a lot of people say that I've actually tricked my missus into falling in love with me because she's way too good for me, and I'll admit it's probably true. She's too good, but it's too late now. We've got a kid together. And we're married, so it's over.
It's all over, right? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me on, man. It's been really good. Oh, there we go. My missus just gave us a like. Yeah, it's been great to do a live together, and I think that it'll be really cool to look at doing another one in the future. Yeah, maybe I'll do my own live, and we could give some insights to people in the correction space and the positive stuff that's happening, because I think that there's a lot of really, really negative shit that's floating around out there, and it'd be really great for just the general public to see some of the great things that are happening.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, mate. I'd love to come on for a live or be involved with if you're doing YouTube or any stuff like that. Definitely keen.
Fantastic.
No worries, mate.
Sweet as.
All right.